Alright, here we go. Welcome to the results, everybody. So, lose control of my chair. This week was kind of lame. And I noticed this last year when I went out for Memorial Day weekend. Basically, just not that many sales going on. And it's probably because a lot of people are going to like the beach or something. But yeah, man. The weekend before there were a lot of sales. The weekend before that there weren't many. So I noticed that the trend is basically when there's one weekend that there aren't many sales, the next weekend there are a lot more. And it's not just like, oh, relative. It's like, one weekend there's 10 and the next weekend there are like 20 or 30 or something like that. So yeah, I'm expecting there to be a lot more sales next weekend. Let's get to the results. So, first sale off, I do find some stuff. I had to dig a lot, but I found some nice stuff here. A DS charger, DS Lite charger, a red Game Boy Pocket, a pink Game Boy Advance, which works, and just these both are in really good condition. I mean, there's some yellowing on the sticker, but whatever. I mean, these things look really good. They were barely used. It was like a family of 4 girls, and I mean, they at least played up until the DS, which I couldn't find, but the mother said that, they were kind of nerdy, and she had even played like one of those Mattel electronic football games, but she said that she had a lot more games, but they didn't know where they were, and they had to get them out. So, I left my name and number, but who knows if they'll ever call back. 2 games I did find were Super Mario Land and a Player's Choice version of Mario Land 2, which this was actually one of my favorite games back in the day. Being so young, I hadn't played many games, and the industry was still kind of young at the time. This was like 92, I think, but and I didn't have like a Genesis or anything at the time. No consoles, so yeah, picked these up. Now, I actually didn't pick them up at the time when I found them, because I told her, like, could you hold on to these, and then if you find any more stuff, could you set it aside for me? And she said sure. I asked her to hold it and asked when she'd be closing up shop. They said around 2, so I knew, like, after that it was just like very little sales and off to the thrift stores in the town over. I knew I had to be back by 2. It was like 9 something, 9:40ish by the time I left there. And she was saying like $3 each for the Game Boys, and for the other stuff or whatever she was like saying like $7, which I guess is a fine price, but I wasn't even haggling with her at the time. I just said to set it aside. By the time I got back, which I got back a little late, around 2:30, I wish she had left me her number. I definitely would have called, but she had been doing the sales all day and probably was worn down. When she offered me the games, she was like, what do you think, 3, 4 would be good? And I said 3's alright. I think she was just, over time, the numbers that were going through her head kind of lowered as the day progressed. So she, even though she was saying $7 early in the day, maybe she forgot, but she was offering pretty much like the end of sale prices, and it made me think, like, maybe I should just ask people to set aside stuff for me to come back hours later and swoop them up for the prices which they're practically giving away stuff for, which, I mean, they already are, but even less. Something you might expect to get $5, you might be able to get it for $1. So yeah, I did go to one other sale with like video games in the town over with the thrift stores, and the guy had some old games. He had a boxed-in television. It didn't really have any of the stuff that held it together. It had like a baseball game with it. I don't really want a television. I have a 2600, and Sure, I think it's at least graphically superior most games. I don't really know the tech specs and everything comparing the two, but I really did not want on a television. So he did have some Sega carts and Atari carts, so I took a look at those, and these are the ones I picked up out of the bunch. In the Sega games, he had, Sonic 2, Lion King, Stargate, Street Fighter 2, or Super Street Fighter 2, and Rock and Roll Racing. And I didn't pick up Rock and Roll Racing at the time because I already had the Super Nintendo version. I thought it was better, but I kind of regretted it later on just because, I don't know, I grew up playing the Genesis version, and I rented that from the video store when I was younger, so maybe I should have picked it up to compare them, but I figured that the Super Nintendo probably would be a better version, so I mean it's going to be the same game pretty much. Maybe the Genesis has more screen resolution, I don't know. So anyways, picked up Sonic 2, not that I needed it, but I had a Genesis to sell that I thought maybe I could pair that with, and when I was looking through a lot of the Atari games, a lot of them were common. I do not have Vanguard, surprisingly enough, and I know they released this on the 5200, so maybe it's better when I eventually get a working 5200, but this is one of the games I was hoping to find eventually. So on my way out of the guy's garage, there was just I paid $2 for these, but on my way out of the garage, I noticed a bag of just controllers and just random cables, and on top was Sonic and Knuckles. And actually, the funny thing is, most of these Sonic and Knuckles I find, the hinges on the doors are just shitty. Like, if I put it all the way back like that, it falls off. I don't ever remember that happening when I had my original Sonic & Knuckles back in the day, and I actually already have Sonic & Knuckles, and again, it's loose and doesn't really stay on, and maybe part of it is snapped off. But the thing is, like, this one feels really good, like, compares, like, it's not really wobbly or anything, so I think I'm going to use this as my Sonic & Knuckles, and I guess, get rid of mine with one of the Segas I bought. So, this isn't really video game related, but I figured I probably should mention it just because it is a really good find. And I mean, you could potentially use it on like a video game project. I found it's kind of dirty, but whatever. It's a multimeter by a really good company called Fluke, and they make really professional grade electronic equipment. And so anyways, this was at a guy's sale. What is that? Oh, I pressed the button. Anyways, they're usually very expensive, and I was able to get this for $8. So I'm gonna say bye-bye to my cheap $25 multimeter and say hell yes to my new Fluke. So it's a good multimeter. You guys should get one if you are into modding or anything like that. So thrift stores. No shit. Why do I keep forgetting about this stuff? That was in the town over, but before I went to that, in my town, a kid was selling a fat PS2 with like a nice translucent blue controller, memory card, AV cables and power, whatever. It has no door on it, and it's missing the back door to the network adapter, and the kid said that he bought it at a flea market and it was broken, but then he fixed it. I really don't care whether it works or not. He said $5, and I said we take 3, and he's like, okay. So, yeah, that's a pretty damn good deal. I went to the thrift store right after the sale where I got these 3 games for, I didn't pay for Sonic & Knuckles, I just asked if I could throw it in, and he said sure. So I paid $2 for these 3 games, and thrift store. So everything in the thrift store was like 50% off, and what really pissed me off, you're seeing all this cool stuff, I'm not even talking about it. Um, but I go in the store, and sitting on the counter, I see an Atari 6 Switch. On the bottom, I see it was made in Taiwan. There's a sticker for $35 on it, and that is insane. I've never seen them price, and it was just the console. It didn't have a controller with it, didn't have a power cable with it. I wish it did, because then I would have yoinked it, because I need one for an Atari that I bought a while ago, and the power cable was busted. Either way, it would have been, with half price, $17.50, which is still a ripoff. I really don't know what these thrift stores are doing, because I know what they're doing. They're trying to compete with the people who buy and resell things. It doesn't make sense to me, that logic, because the people who buy and resell things are not going to be going to a thrift store and buying for the prices they see things online, and the people who are trying to get a deal are obviously not going to buy, some thing at the thrift store that costs, the same price online. They're going to try to get a good deal, or people who can't really afford it, maybe they see it as too frivolous because of the expense. So it really doesn't make sense for them to price it, because they're, only going to get those people who are just like, buying things and don't really care about the money so much. So it's just really disappointing. The same store, I saw an NES. It had 2 controllers, power, and the RF unit to it, all taped together, no game inside, and it was the toaster version, whatever, front loader, and it was $35 as well. Seriously, what are they trying to do? And they even had these Nintendo games in sealed packages, groups of 4. Can't remember all the games in each, but each of them, a group of 4 games for $20. And there was like Double Dragon 2, Double Dragon 3, and some Super Team games, and Mario, Duck Hunt. Another one was like Bionic Commando and Double Dragon, and it was annoying to see stuff like that. Looking around the store, it seemed like they were unpacking quite a bit, so I wish I could stay there until they unpacked everything, because if they found, you just saw that I found some controllers. They've had the Atari, they had the Nintendo. I figured they might have more, but I couldn't stay there. I had to get back by 2. Looking around the store, I found all that stuff, but I also found these 2 N64 controllers, the Extreme Green controller, which has a loose stick, but this one didn't. Nice gray one. So they were $2, half off, make them $1. So it's technically 50 cents each, and I love this color. When I had an N64 back in the day, I actually bought this I think it was only sold at Toys R Us, and when I sold my N64, it was, besides some of the games, maybe like Star Fox or whatever, this was one of the things that I regretted selling. I kept everything in good condition. I always kept boxes and stuff, so I always had the box, and I sold it, I remember, back on eBay back in the day for $25, and then a couple of years later, I was in college, and I had my own computer, which was really awesome, and I remember N64 emulators coming into their prime. Computers were powerful enough to really emulate them well, and on eBay I bought an Extreme G green. Keep saying Extreme G. Extreme GeeReeEEen. Jeez, I can't get this through my head. Extreme GeeReeEEen. Fuck. Extreme G green. Extreme green controller. Holy shit. I don't know what's wrong with my brain right now, but $25 it cost me back then. And I think loose now these things cost around $25, but in the box and everything, I think they go for like $70 or $80. So I mean, this is really only because it's I think it was only sold at Toys R Us. I never really saw these at like BB Games or anything like that. But yeah, looking around the store, I found another Atari. It didn't have a price on it for some reason, but I did manage to yank its power cable, and you know, considering how many times I kept seeing Ataris at yard sales and Sears Telegames or whatever, and always tried to just get the adapter, it's understanding that they wouldn't sell it to me alone, but I yanked it out of that one, and when I brought it up to the register, I was like, oh, I just found this lying on the shelf. It doesn't have a price or anything, and they said, well, you know, just throw it in. So I ended up getting the 2 controllers and this power adapter for $1. It's an alright week. I was really happy to see that Extreme Green controller. Shit, can't say it right. Oh yeah, what else? I also did find a weird Nintendo controller made by Hori. It was called the Wing Commander, just like the video game, but it was like this green boomerang shaped controller, and it had a joystick coming up, and then on each end of the boomerang it had 2 buttons, A, B, and I think turbos maybe. I think there were also some switches on it, but I'll throw a picture up here so you can see what it looks like. It was like $5, so it would have been $2.50. I might have just bought it because of the novelty factor, but I really had no use for the thing, so I just left it in the bin. There was also a Sega Genesis controller in there. That was what I'm just saying. Like, there must have been more at that store, just ready to be unpacked. I found even some old computer games that I had played back in the day, made by the Learning Company, complete and boxed. One was like Think Quick, which is the only one I had in the group, but there was other ones like Something Rescue, or I don't know. Just disappointing that I didn't find more. Maybe if I had gotten to the store sooner, there would have been some more games there. So, or maybe some interesting consoles. Yeah, stay tuned for next week, because my theory is there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. So, real quick, I forgot to mention that you're probably wondering, like, emulators and a real N64 controller. Well, how can you use that on your computer? At the same time I bought this, I also bought this thing called an Adaptoid, and basically it's really cool. They probably still sell it somewhere. I don't know what website I bought that from. It was like $5 or $10 when I first bought it. But anyways, this is the little USB end, and this is where you plug in your controller. And yeah, very simple. You just plug it in, and it's like compatible with most of the emulators out there. I used Project 64, and I still use this. I mean, it's very, I use it when I want to test out a game, see if I actually really want to play it. Like I used it to play Sin and Punishment. And I was thinking of like importing that game, but yeah, that game had really weird controls that I can't get used to. They probably still sell this. It's a really cool thing. You should get one. It would help out, especially when you want to, like I said, test out games. So yeah, have fun, and like I always say, get out there and get hunting.